How about people in Chicago? The crime in Chicago, of course, is as bad as it is here in New York and major American cities all over the country. You got all kinds of horrific, violence in a city like Chicago. And now you got kids wilding. You got kids that are storming convenience stores and looting and violently terrorizing store clerks and mom and pop businesses. And you got to hear this exchange. Speaking of Brandon, how about the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson? And I knew this was coming. Lori Lightfoot was bad. We all knew Lori Lightfoot was bad. This guy is like Lori Lightfoot and her progressive idiocy, her lunacy on steroids. Listen to this mayor scold a reporter for accurately referring to a mob of criminals. These are young people looting stores, going in, vandalizing, clearing the shelves, scaring the workers. You know what Mayor Brandon Johnson is upset about? Not the crime, not the acts of the criminals, but not calling a mob participating in mass looting large gatherings. Listen to, brace yourself, prepare yourself, but listen to the venerable mayor of Chicago, Illinois.
That's not appropriate. We're not talking about mob actions. I didn't say that.
What happened?
Hold on a second, okay? Respectfully, these large gatherings, just hold on a second, y'all. I promise you, we have time to talk. It's important that we speak of these dynamics in an appropriate way. This is not to obfuscate what is actually taking place.
This was the scene near Roosevelt and Canal Sunday night. Groups looted a convenience store. More than 36 teenagers were arrested, along with a 12-year-old and at least one 20-year-old. Store owners say it was the second such incident in that area in just the past few weeks. And today, Mayor Johnson commended Chicago police for the way they handled it.
To the best of their ability, I believe that they attempted to engage with our young people, with community partners, giving as much warning as they possibly could.
Engage with community partners. Were there mental health professionals there? Mayor Brandon, come on, young man. Why are you breaking that glass and stealing that container of Tide? Let's talk about your childhood. How were you when you were a child? Did you wet the bed? Was Daddy mean to you? Come on. Wait a minute, you're beating me up? I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to engage with you about your childhood and about your past. My Lord, that's the mayor of Chicago. And did you notice how he was stammering and stuttering when he was trying to criticize a reporter for calling the mob a mob, saying it's a large gathering? I'll bet you no one's going to call January 6th a large gathering. You won't hear January 6th described as a large gathering. Hey, Adam, play the beginning again, because you can even hear it. He gets that deer in the headlights look. Nobody's even interrupting him, but he's acting like he's being interrupted because he's realized he's stepped in it. It's almost like even this guy realizes the lunacy of telling a Chicago reporter, you can't call the mob. We got to refer to these looters as participating in a large gathering. Play the beginning one more time.
That's not appropriate. We're not talking about mob actions. I didn't say that.
What happened?
Hold on a second, okay? Respectfully, these large gatherings, just hold on a second, y'all. I promise you, we have time to talk. It's important that we speak of these dynamics in an appropriate way.
Yes, speak in these dynamics in an appropriate way. In other words, don't you dare villainize the villains. Don't call the criminals criminals. We're going to call them large gatherings. It's a little bit like what they do with illegals. They're not illegals, they're undocumented, or they're migrants. They're not illegal immigrants because the illegal immigrant reinforces that they've broken the law. And they have broken the law. Whatever you think about the mission to come into the United States, these are illegal people. These are people who have committed a crime in order to come here. Now, if you're a bleeding heart, you can bend over backwards and twist yourself into a pretzel and explain why they're committing the crime. You can do the same thing with people that are shoplifting and robbing stores blind. You might want to say they're nothing more than Jean Valjean stealing a loaf of bread to feed their family. Now, I'm seeing a whole lot of Louis Vuitton bags go out the window. I'm seeing a whole bunch of Gucci purses get stolen, so I don't know how that translates into, a loaf of bread to feed your starving family. Ain't nobody buying what you're selling. But all of these policies, the cashless bail, the refusal to incarcerate, and once in a while, the people that own the stores, they push back. Have you seen the video, the 7-Eleven video? Do we have that, Adam, queued up? If you're watching us right now on Salem News Channel, this happened in California, and this thing went viral. And I have to admit, I was a little bit uncomfortable hearing people cheer for this, but this is how ordinary Americans feel. This was a guy who had a garbage can, and he was clearing off the shelves with everything he could steal. He was robbing this 7-Eleven blind. And what people have to realize is a lot of 7-Elevens are locally owned and operated franchises, and these two men who evidently owned or managed this 7-Eleven had had enough. They watched this guy. They were begging him to stop. He was threatening them allegedly with a weapon when they tried to stop him, but they did finally stop him, and one of them took out a stick and started hitting him with that stick. The video has gone viral. Again, if you're watching on Salem News Channel, let's play it for you. This is the encounter in California. I mean, and if you haven't seen it, if you want to see it yourself, you could text the numbers 7-Eleven to our MyPillow text line, and we'll send you back the video clip. And you'll see this menacing guy with his big, head scarf thing around his head or whatever that is, head covering. And he's threatening the store clerks. He's stealing, clearing everything off the shelves that he can. He's trying to get everything out, And then as he starts to leave, they stop him. And the way they stop him, they didn't kill him. They didn't shoot him. They didn't stab him. They didn't strangle him. I'm glad he's okay. But they give him, what some would call an old-fashioned whooping. Check this out on Salem News Channel and as you're listening to us on the radio.
What you need to do, man, until the police come on.
Watch out, man.
Hey, don't. Hey,
watch out, boy.
Ain't nothing you can do, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
Hear that whacking? That whacking is the sound of one of the two people from the store hitting him on the legs and the rear end, the buttocks, with a stick. Oh, he doesn't like that. He doesn't mind threatening those guys. But when the shoe is on the other foot, suddenly
That's called whooping your ass. That's called whooping your ass.
When they played that last night, I saw one of the shows that I think it was either Hannity or Gutfeld's show. The audience broke out into a cheer. Now, none of us should advocate for violence, and we don't. But Americans are fed up. You're not going to keep robbing and stealing and shooting and maiming and killing. But a big part of the problem are people like this goofy mayor of Chicago who won't even let a Chicago reporter call a mob a mob. No. It's a large gathering. A large gathering of troubled youth. Oh, God help us. And I mean that. God help us.